We walk into this matchup over. We've got a couple seconds left on wave one. In lane one, we have the red player. That is Paulemaude. In lane two is the blue player. That's Mausbor. In lane three, we have Dominatus. And this is something that keeps happening to me. And in lane four, we have Top10LTD, and Top10LTD is not really showing off right now as he takes a big hit, 100% leak early on. He did go with the 5 workers, but perhaps not knowing what he needed to do in regard to his start, because he's not even pushing the econ there. So a big leak early on, as you see already the big advantage for the team on the left. We're going to call them the West team. This is the West team over here, and this is the East team over here. And again, you see the Antler will be carrying this wave, but again, a big leak early on, and so far it does hold an advantage of 50 gold, and that does make a big difference when it comes early on in the game. And we will see the upgrade there, and it has been upgraded to a false maiden, so we'll make sure that army value is still a little bit low for this recommended value of 250, and that is assuming that there's no sends coming. But as we see, there is going to be a DT coming from Mausbor as Mausbor pushes through, so we'll see if the false maiden is enough to make the difference. We know that the tank line is going to go down quickly. The false maiden obviously doing some AoE damage, but this DT doing work, and another big leak over here by Top10LTD. And we see the standard Atom push going there, as that will carry easily through the double send that came through from Top10LTD. And again, the snails rocking in. This Antler will carry, but we can't be confused about the loss in income. They're already 100 gold down between the two teams. As you see, the West team is so far with that advantage. It was the 2 big leaks by Top10LTD that are causing the difference right now. We do have a brute send coming from Paulemaude that is going to be going to Dominatus. Dominatus with the Antler has been carrying so far, but again, those brutes so deadly early on in the game, especially deadly if you can stack them up. So you are seeing again a DT send over on the far line. The Top10LTD is taking some forward pressure here from those DTs, and we're going to see if this brute can do some work down on on line 3. This is Dominatus' line, and the brute starting in on that Antler. And another leak by Top10LTD, and an Antler card found by Dominatus. That is a celebrated thing in the Legion Tower Defense, as a card comes through, and the Antler card in there. And I expect that on the chat we're going to start to see some congratulations. But again, you see 13 leaked mobs coming through as these hoppers doing some magic damage. That is what the Antler is weak to with its natural defense, but it is a big tanky unit, so it does take on and carry the wave. So far still a 100 difference in regard to the income, as you see that Top10LTD is taking a bit of leak damage there. Still a little low in regard to recommended value, sending his 2 snails. And those 2 snails are going over to Paulemaude. And you see the tank line already set up. So far, no range damage coming from Paulemaude. But once these Oathbreakers reach that 50%, you're going to watch them go a little crazy. They hit twice as fast, but it is in a random pattern. But when you have other units doing damage, that random pattern does make such a big difference, as those Oathbreakers will easily carry the two slugs that were sent. And now you see Dominatus, who received 100 with the 2 DTs, obviously getting some forward pressure. Now the question is the Aqua Spirit going to be able to hold off these 2 flying chickens? And it looks like that's not a problem. Just looking at our leak history here, 181 and 72, and finally a carry for Top 10 LTD, which has got to be a little bit reassuring to his partner, Dominatus, who has already 8 workers going. Mausbor has been the beneficiary. As you see, his army value is through the roof at 510, which is exactly what is recommended for the next wave. So we'll see if he does a big push here in workers. Gonna clear this wave no problem with such a large army value. And Dominatus will be sending over 2 brutes here on wave 6, so there is some danger here if Mausbor does not keep his army value up. As Spank Daddy is sending it there. A fun message. I'll message him after. Again, we're going to see the push here by Mausbor, and he does move up to 685, so he's still a little bit low when it comes to the recommended value of 640, plus we're looking at 160 coming in there, so perhaps the question mark will come flying here as the 2 brutes come in with the DT right ahead. As you see it go over top of the Sea Serpent, again, the Sea Serpent will bury underneath for the first 5 seconds, which allows it to take out rear sends, which is its real power, as it gets already into the line of atoms, and you just see the pressure being put on by this brute as it slows down this atom's ability to be able to DPS, and that is why you're seeing it carry through. And it might be a leak here over on Mausbor's side, but it's a double leak over on the east side as Top 10 LTD and Dominatus both leak. And you see the forfeit coming through from Top 10 LTD, and that is perhaps again because he's lost so much income. He's already lost $133, 133 coins, I should say, to leaks, whereas you see everybody else 41, 41, and 0 for Paulemaude. So perhaps feeling a lot behind is a Top 10. As we take a look, a little bit of a send here from Paulemaude as he pushes up to 10 workers. And you see the send double to Top 10 is receiving now an additional brute and snail. And you see just pushing through this tank line, and this Hellraiser can carry a lot of damage, but it's just a question of whether or not these sludges can get through to the Hellraiser before it takes it down. And that Hellraiser just in its rampage mode, or its tantrum mode, pardon. But you do see some pressure here, and now you'll see a leak from Dominatus. And again, that really does come from the advantage that they received early on by the leaks from Top 10 LTD. I have no doubt that in its tantrum mode that the Hellraiser will be able to carry this without a problem. Right now, both Dominatus and Top 10 are saving their Mythium. 145, 172, no push as of yet. You figure that it would have come on before the wave went through into the night phase. So probably coming through on 10 or 11. And we'll see that continue to grow. Dominatus right now with 11 workers tied with Paulemaude. But you look at the army value from Paulemaude, extremely high. Again, 80 above. And the reason, obviously, that they're carrying a little bit of a higher volume is because of the save-up of the Mythium from Dominatus and Top 10. The west side should be able to carry that without any problem as we head over to the east side. And again, this Hellraiser is dominating early on in the game. And here's the big pop. It's going to be a big send coming over from east to west as we head over, and we're going to take a look at the west side as this power wave comes through. We're seeing 200 so far coming from Top 10 LTD and equivalent 200 coming from Dominatus. We'll see if they add anything to that as they head in. They've got 13 seconds left to save up. And in that time, they should get up to 40. So we'll see some probably an add-on from both ones of the 40 unit, whether it's a DT or you're going to see perhaps a lizard. It is an extra DT coming through on Top 10 LTD. So it's a big send early, trying to force a double leak. Again, falling behind early was the East team, but this is a big push for them. The Deep Coiler is going to be doing some work here. And you see this tank line able to hold on, which allows these atoms to charge up. And this is going to be a carry by Mausbor. I don't think it's going to be an issue for him to carry that wave. Let's see if that does carry through over on Paulemaude's side. And it looks like Paulemaude is going to be able to carry through as well. So that's definitely demoralizing for the team on the east. That they did send a bunch through and was not able to even force a leak on either side. As you see the advantage now, 400 gold. And you see the damage line set up over here by Top 10 LTD. Been stuck on a lower amount of workers as you see everybody else starting to ramp up. A Top 10 with that disadvantage coming through. Lost 133 income so far to leaks. You got to imagine that that turns into 2 workers, which again will lead into more money as though that income increases. We do have the double brute being sent over here on lane number 3, and the double brute again will cause some extra damage because they are going to slow down the attacks of everything coming through with that Maul debuff. And here comes the push from the Granddaddy on this east side, as it looks like the Granddaddy will push through on both east side waves. And that is going to be a significant amount of damage that is going to be done to the King already at 69%. It does have a few upgrades in regards to its attack. So we'll see whether or not these Granddaddies can get there and do any significant damage. 20% so far being done by the Granddaddies. Now down 32% being sent right on there. And now we have our 3 views of our 3 spells. We see Press the Attack coming from Dominatus. So he's getting an extra 70 Mythium. Savior coming from Top 10 LTD. So we're going to see as he gives his units, as we head over, which one of them is going to get the Savior buff. I'm guessing more than likely it's going to be this Banana Bunk, but we will see as that comes through. And Paulemaude and Mausbor are setting up for a turn 13 win, both of them on the embargo. So as they're going to try and carry, it's a big send over for Dominatus. We'll take a look over onto this side. It was the Ghost Knight coming in to Mausbor's lane. And just these auto attacks that are being blocked so far by this Ghost Knight. And the Ghost Knight is doing work in regard to just taking away these atoms. Now the question is are these quill shooters going to be able to DPS down these atoms before the atoms can take them out? It's got to be a big leak here from Top 10 or Dominatus here. They do get a 66% leak, but considering the send and the fact that Paulemaude is going to carry and not any king damage is coming through, this is probably not the result they were hoping for on that big send. As you see the numbers of Mythium stacking up for Paulemaude and Mausbor, as the German side is in there, and again, you see the income coming through. They are embargoed, so they are going to get 85 gold and 85 Mythium at the end of that. So add 85 to this, and that's what the send is going to be. Obviously, they are setting up for a Wave 13 push, and that is impact. And you take a look at the builds here, and impact damage doing extra damage to Fortified and to Arcane. And as we look here, we do have Fortified, we do have Fortified, we do have Arcane, we do have Fortified. So everything is set up on this top 10 LTD for it. And you see Dominatus pumping that king. He knows that something is coming. And we got to think this is going to be the last push, as you'll start to see the embargo coming through. 400 Mythium for both Paulemaude and Mausbor. And again, the recommended value already low for Dominatus coming into, and top 10 LTD coming into the next wave. They are going to get some income. They've got a couple hundred to spend. And the build, and you're not seeing it, so perhaps they're holding on for another wave. I could have sworn that they were going to be coming through on the impact wave, but now you see 500 Mythium saved up from Paulemaude. You have 470 saved up from Mausbor. I think it's just a matter of time as to when they decide that they are going to do the mass send. I don't know why they're holding on, considering that both of their opponents are fairly weak to impact, as you see Fortified and Arcane there. So I don't know which one they're waiting for, but they are at this point holding on to over 1100 Mythium between the two of them. And just the massive amount of king upgrades, and here comes the push. It looks like 14 is going to be the wave that Paulemaude and Mausbor are going to be firing through. As you see so far, all of Paulemaude's Mythium gone. Mausbor still with a couple hundred, as he's probably saving up for something in the 300 range. And very quick clears on this east side from top 10 LTD. And on the west side, you see the Atoms, the In Atom We Trust powered up units as they slowly get their mana regeneration. There's Mausbor dropping a 4 Eyes into the mix. So now 2 4 Eyes coming through, 2 pack leaders coming through, and Ogre, some Hermits. We are going to be seeing a massive send. And is this the beginning of the end? They've got to know it's coming. You see the charge up. The Nekomata is now fully charged up, so it will be receiving HP buffs every time it kills a unit. But again, we are looking at a huge send coming from from west to east. And still 100 Mythium here. We'll see if there's any additional. There's 2 more brutes being sent in. This is a huge send. And can they hold on? 800 and 660. Already a 600 difference in the gold. And if this leak comes through as big as it looks with the 800 and 660 send, it's going to be a lot of problems. Dominatus holding it strong so far, but it is going to be a push. There is the forfeit coming through. Both plus 100. It is going to be a massacre on that king if they let it get that far. We'll take a look down there as the killer slugs come through with all of this support. And it looks like a win for our team in the west side. That is the Earth King, and a big win for Paulemaude and Mausbor as they push big on 14 after embargoing through to 12, taking their time, being patient, and making sure that they got the big leak as they got it. That's a big match for us. We hope that you enjoyed this Legion TD matchup. We'll see you again soon.